The New York Jets win. They snap their 5-game losing streak. They beat the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football, 21-13. I'm Ryan Sampson. This is the Gangs All Here Postgame Live show. That's my guy, Frankie Vittorini from U Stadium. And we're going to talk about and break down this win for the New York Jets. They get back in the win column to get to 3-6 on the season. The run is about to start, Jets fans. Buckle up. They're going to win the rest of these games. They're going to make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. All of it's going to happen because Aaron Rodgers has embraced the darkness, and he's telling his fans and the Jets fans to embrace the darkness. We hope you enjoy and watch the show. But before I get to anything else, Frankie, how you doing, bud?
Season's back on, baby. It's back. All our dreams are about to come true because Garrett Wilson is a G. G's work well in New York, by the way. Giancarlo Stanton, sorry to bring up the Yankees. Garrett Wilson. G's a great name to start with in New York. Garrett Wilson, man. Garrett Wilson saving the season. But you know what? Overall, it was a good game. The first half was trash, but the defense came out, showed out, and we made just enough plays to win the game. So you got to just win one. Then you got to win two. Then you got to win. Then this team's got to win like 5 in a row. But you just got to start with one, man.
I think you make a great point about Garrett Wilson. This was his coming out night tonight. After what he's gone through this year and how much he struggled, the interception that came off his hands against Pittsburgh, you could tell he was feeling it. I thought he had an outstanding game against the Patriots last week, and tonight was just another step in the direction of Garrett Wilson just showing how special he is, and he could take over a game for them. A night where I thought the Jets offense just couldn't get anything going at all, especially in the first half. It was just Rodgers had no connection whatsoever to Devontae. The offense was out of whack. They had no rhythm. They couldn't get up to the line of scrimmage and get good play calls going. And they look disjointed and it looked lifeless, Frankie. But credit to this Jets team, considering, and again, this goes into what happens in the first half. Malachi Corley dropping a touchdown, his first career touchdown in the NFL. I mean, that's day one stuff, man. That's Garrett Cole not covering first base stuff right there. That is hold on to the freaking ball until you cross that line, and then you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Like, it's the same way if you hit a home run. Wait till it gets out of the ballpark, and then you could dance around the freaking bases. You could throw the bat. I don't care. But for you to drop the ball in that spot, Malachi Corley, that was embarrassing. And we all thought as Jets fans, and I know you did and I did, here we go again. This is a Jets team that just can't get out of its own way. But again, like you said, Garrett Wilson just took over tonight.
Yeah, man. Dude, this Jets team, they recovered from that. It looked like when things could get worse, the joke continued and we were going to get potentially blown out. But this team is resilient, man. Aaron Rodgers today had a freaking awesome second half. He ended the game with 211 yards, 3 touchdowns, of which, by the way, we targeted Garrett Wilson 10 times. He had 9 catches for 90 yards, 2 tutties. Devontae Adams got targeted 11 times at 7 catches for 91 yards. So Devontae actually had more yards than Garrett, believe it or not. Another tutty. Man, listen, this team just needs to win. I was flipping out about the play calling in the second half. I've been flipping out about the play calling every half, it feels like. But if this team can just score like they did in that fourth quarter and get the ball down the field, things are going to get interesting, man. It's not over until it's over. It's not over, guys and gals. Have a little bit of faith out here. We match up well with Houston. They struggle playing at MetLife. It's always a thing. But the defense, man, we sacked CJ Stroud 8 times. So shout-outs to the defense. Shout-outs to the offense for making plays late. We get a W, baby. That's all it's about. I've been waiting for this. We've been waiting a month and a half. We finally got one, Rye. So you got to cheer up a little bit. Come on.
I know.
Halloween night, you know, things are changing, man, maybe.
You're still 3-6 on the season. You've fired your head coach. You've demoted your offensive coordinator. You traded for a disgruntled wide receiver. Your quarterback has been up and down in play, is banged up. The offensive line's banged up. Defense banged up. There really was no hope here, I would say, and there still really isn't much for me. You know, it's funny, Frankie, you say like, oh, this is it. This is the Jets are back. Their odds to make the playoffs before the game were plus 430. The Jets' odds to make the playoffs after the win plus 300, so 100 plus 130. went in favor of them now, went down for them to now make the playoffs. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, listen, it's cool that the Jets can squeak out a win. I mean, listen, you beat a 6-win Texans team that is very talented and was thought to by a lot of people to be Super Bowl contenders before the season. So that's impressive that you were able to do that at home, defend your home turf, and finally get a win. Have a kicker that can actually hit some extra points, which was scary at first. That doink, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Yeah, I mean, listen. I think the biggest thing I take away is the Garrett Wilson factor, and I thought Davante Adams played his best game as a Jet too. The first half again, he was like Aaron Rodgers, couldn't get anything going, had no connection to him whatsoever. But the second half, I mean, he was cooking dudes, and that throw to the sideline on that adjustment on that third and was it fourth down? Was it 4th and 1?
I think so. Yeah.
It was 4th and 1, and Rodgers makes the signal, and he just takes the Texans DB, does that little juke, goes down the sideline, comes out because he's looking at concussion possibly. But Davante, and then on the touchdown, he was in the slot, and Rodgers knew right away who was going to, and Davante cooked him. I mean, he cooked him off the line of scrimmage, made that little juke again, and he was gone. So I thought Davante looked fresh. He looked spry. He looked like a little bit of old Davante Adams there. So if you can get him going on top of what Garrett Wilson's already been doing these past 2 weeks, hey, listen, man, 3 touchdowns between the two. Tonight, Garrett Wilson, 9 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davante Adams, 7 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. That's impressive stuff, man.
You're starting to see it, Rye. The reason we brought Davante Adams here was to open things up for Garrett, to open some more things up for some of these other players. Davante Adams, yes, he came here late, but you're starting now to see this team gelling a little bit, and this offense is starting to understand how they want to play together. I mean, this is all going to take time. Unfortunately, we had to lose 5 in a row to get to a point where things started kind of making a little bit of sense. But you take the win. You got to be happy, everybody out there. Be a little happy. We're trying to win football games. It's not tankathon time yet. All right? You take the wins, you cheer it on, and you have to be happy for players that played well tonight. Garrett Wilson is a player that I want to be, I want him to be a lifetime Jet. I want him to be here for his entire career. I love Garrett Wilson. Him having games like this, him having that moment, dude, that moment is just something that it stays with you for your entire career. It's something that you can look towards. It's something that other teams see players. It's a moment for Garrett. And we have to keep Garrett somewhat happy here because I want him here. By the way, we're selling shirts on U Stadium with a little silhouette. Just a little shout out. If you don't follow U Stadium.
It was the Jumpman logo.
Yes. That's exactly what it was.
Check out U Stadium, like Frankie said. They're selling those shirts. I mean, Frankie's talking about here again, if you guys, I'm sure you all saw it, but we're going to talk about it even more. 3rd and 19, they're at the Houston 26. They're down. I mean, they're up, 14. They're down 10-7 at this point. And Rodgers on 3rd and 19 just drops back and he goes, yeah, fuck it. I'm just going to throw it to Garrett down there. He's down there somehow. And he just throws a ball up to him, and Garrett one-on-one, just backhand, one-hand grab. I mean, that's insane. I thought it really wasn't a touchdown. And then the fact that they reversed it because of the shin touching, which credit to them to actually zoom in and find that angle and be able to say, yeah, his shin touched first before his knee touched out of bounds. Incredible play. And I
thought he got 2 feet in, by the way. When he caught that, I didn't even realize that the first leg could have been out. I thought he caught that, kept his first foot in, and then got his other toe touching there. That was the most impressive part of that play. They called him out on the initial, but the fact that he got his second foot and he tapped it in, the kid's a stud. The kid needed time with Aaron. It was going to take time. I was not so, pumped up with the Davante thing because I'm like, we have a wide receiver 1. Garrett Wilson can do anything on a football field. He can stretch the field. He could play inside. He could break tackles. He can toe tap. He can do one-handers like we're seeing. He misses some balls once in a while, but the kid's phenomenal, man.
Yeah,
we have a phenomenal player there, and we have to just appreciate games like tonight. Whether we make the playoffs or not, we have someone we can build around potentially.
I hope so, man. Listen, I've been hard on Garrett this year just because, again, that Pittsburgh game, that was brutal for him. And he was targeted so many times, but he was getting locked down by top corners and he wasn't separating and he wasn't being able to be productive in the first couple weeks of the season that you would hope that you would get from Garrett Wilson. Hopefully this starts to spark something for him in this offense and they can unlock him because he is that talented. He is he's a very good wide receiver. And Devontae's going to help him. I think Devontae opens up a lot of things for Garrett. That first touchdown grab was sick too. I mean, that was
that
second
one
and
was
12. I
excellent,
mean,
man.
I thought Rodgers was throwing it high, and then when he just snagged that out of the air one-handed again, I'm like, whew, Garrett. I mean, that's outstanding football from Garrett Wilson.
And you see, too, you have Stingley out there for Houston. He has to honor Devontae Adams a bit more. So that opens things up for Garrett. Outside of just him opening up parts of the field based on his play, he's taken away corners' focus on him because Devontae's out there. So listen, at this point, I'm looking at the rankings right now. We're 10th in the AFC, all right? There's a path. You have to win next week. You have to probably win the week after. There's a path here. Arizona, Indy, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville. I don't know, Rye. I don't know. I think
I hate that, Frankie. I really do. I mean, stop, man. Stop looking ahead. Just focus on the next game. The next game.
Oh, I'm looking ahead.
I know. And that's what all Jets fans are. It's like that's been our problem all offseason. We look ahead. We look ahead to the Jets going to the playoffs. We look ahead to the Jets going to the Super Bowl. It's like, relax.
Just win a game.
Win a game. They couldn't even win a game for 5 straight weeks, dude. It was over a month. Rodgers is talking right now on Amazon Prime. If I were Rodgers, I would smack Ryan Fitzpatrick in the face. What he's been saying to him, man.
What was he saying?
Did you see what he said at halftime?
No, I didn't.
He's making fun of the whole cayenne pepper thing, and he's like, "I hope you don't get the cayenne pepper rubbed in your eyes because you won't be able to throw the ball tonight." And it's like, I just want to say to Ryan Fitzpatrick as a Jets fan, you're the biggest choke artist I've ever seen as a quarterback for this football team. You choked in Buffalo, and no one's going to forget it, and I'm never going to forget it. So you have no room to talk. Also, you're not a Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, so you don't deserve. He's starting to pat him on. Like I'm sure Aaron's pissed off at him, but whatever. Frankie, the other big thing that we'll keep hammering on this offense here before we get to the defensive part of this. Again, I thought this was Devontae Adams' best game as a Jet too, and I do want to say, like, if you can continue to get him involved in this offense, he's going, like you said, unlock what Garrett Wilson wants to do in this offense and get him open. And that you see how teams are starting to treat him on defensively. They're putting the number one corners on Devontae. So Garrett should be able to get a lot of opportunities versus every team's cornerback too.
Yeah, and even tight ends. Like, you're able to run some plays to tight ends because you have Devontae there. Shout outs to Kenny Yeboah. First catch. Big catch, by the way. So shout outs to you, my man. You're going to see them maybe use him a little bit more because maybe they don't like what Ruckert's given them at tight end too. But on top of just the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae thing, the offense now with Downing starts to look a little bit different. I don't like a lot of the play calling. I'm not a huge fan of it. But if they allow Aaron to want to throw the ball down the field, which they finally freaking did a few times tonight, that bodes well. Devontae had a catch that he dropped. Throw it down the field. Why? Because this defense, which we're going to get into, I'm sure, this defense played excellent tonight. Yeah, Tank Dell had a good game. Obviously, Sauce was struggling, and man, the defense played very well. 8 sacks. Guys are running around. Guys are playing hard. It seems like Ulbrich needed a few weeks to sort of bring the troops in.
Hang on. Let's not get to the defense. Stay on the offensive side here for a second because I want to get to the defense here in a little bit. Breece Hall, the other part of this, ran well again tonight. Found some really good openings. The offensive line struggled, I thought, tonight in the pass pro. You saw the injuries to John Simpson. That's a big loss for the Jets if they cannot get him back. You could see the Texans were going right after Max Mitchell there, I think, at left guard. And then Hansen got hurt too, and they put Olu Fashanu at right guard, which was interesting. And I didn't think that was a holding penalty too when Rodgers scrambled for a first down. I thought that was another BS call.
Yeah, it's a BS call.
I don't hate Olu playing guard right there if that's what you have to I'd rather him than Hansen, to be honest with you, because at least he gets Olu some reps, and he's versatile, and he's a big kid. And I want the kid to play. I really do.
Laramie Tunsil, just to compare, sorry to cut you off, but Laramie Tunsil early in his career, and I actually compared Olu out of the draft to Tunsil. Tunsil played guard his first year. You play where you can play. I'm not against putting a pure left tackle anywhere else that's as raw as Olu is. So that makes somewhat of sense. At least get the kid some reps. I thought the O-line, I mean, listen, they didn't play phenomenally, but they held up. I mean, that's all you really need with these weapons. Just hold up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, offensively, it's still a work in progress for me. Like we said, that first half was forgettable. Considering, let's talk about that Malachi Corley drop again. I don't know what that kid's thinking. It's your first touchdown, man. I know it's a great opportunity, and we've been begging for the Jets to get him the ball because he's so special with the ball in his hands. But that's just classic Jets, man. As soon as I saw him cross, I'm like, I literally said to everyone at home watching the game, I'm like, he dropped it. I'm pretty sure he dropped that ball before he crossed the goal line. And again, they show the replay, and I'm like, you can't make this up. You cannot make this up with this team. That's the discipline and the accountability and coaching. You got to hammer this kid. And I don't think he played much the rest of the game. I know he played on special teams, but I know that he maybe got a couple offensive snaps. But like, dude, what are you doing? That's your time. That's your moment. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's an accountability issue like they've been freaking speaking about all year. Players are sort of not always focused on this team. But however, you forget about that now. That's not part of the Jets joke because you won the game. Like if we didn't win the game, then that becomes something that they're going to promote, the laughing stock of the league. The Jets, the worst thing ever. By the way, the first half, do you see how crazy this whole team is? We have fans chanting to sell the team, sell the team, sell the team. Paper bags. People left at halftime. You know that, right? People left after the first half.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either.
The whole upper half bowl, by the way, was empty tonight. There was no one sitting up there.
Tickets got as low as like $15. But hey, man, as they say in sports, right? As we always say in sports, what cures everything?
Yeah, winning's the ultimate deodorant.
That's it. Exactly. So none of that matters at this point. None of it matters. That this is a big win for them. It really is. It's a big win for the culture. It's a big win. I mean, you might be on the side of just if you lost tonight. I heard some fans say just lose so it really burns down. You know what? There's too much talent on this team. There's too many young players that we're looking forward to seeing playing in playoff games. You can't say that now. You could say that in a few weeks, but you can't say it until you're officially out of the playoffs. This team's not out of the playoffs. As recent as 2020, a 3-6 team made the playoffs. It's not impossible. And I'm not talking playoffs.
You keep saying it, though.
But that's all that matters, though. You win?
No, not right now for me. No. I'm
People
sorry.
are saying you should have tanked. It's too early to tank.
I'm not talking about tanking. See, here's the thing. We as fans think in such extremes, like just go for your full tank mode or go full for like we're going to make the playoffs. No, this is where the Jets have been for the last decade. Mediocrity. And this is what they are. They're a mediocre team, Frankie. They're not a great team. They're not a bad team. They're just a mediocre team. And they play bad football at times. That drives you nuts. They take 2 steps back after they take 1 step forward. This is what they are. And they're poorly coached. Let's be real. Like they're not a good coached football team.
Do you know what I realized too, Rye? Something interesting. If you look at Rodgers on Thursday Night Football with less time to prepare, even though they technically had more first TNF game, but he's been great on Thursday Night Football. The Pats game, he was 27 of 35 for 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. Texans tonight, 22 of 32, 211, 3 touchdowns. Thursday Night Football for Aaron's working beautifully, baby. 492 yards, 5 tutties, no interceptions. So
it's a good stat. I mean, it's a good thing to notice. Luckily, I believe this is the last primetime game for the Jets this year. So they're finally going to get into a little bit of a rhythm and have a normal Sunday routine now from here on out, which should be good for them. They're going to have 10 days off before they prepare for Arizona. Going to Arizona, people need to realize that Arizona is really freaking good. And the Jets are 1 loss away from this season truly being over. Like, no chance they're making the playoffs with 7 losses, especially in the AFC. But listen, if you want to talk about playoffs, go for it. I'm not talking about playoffs with this Jets team. I don't see it. This was a nice moral victory, I would say, for them. You know, Jeff Ulbrich speaking right now. He says that was a fun game. That was cool for us to go out there and win. Yeah, listen, it was cool. It was fun. Garrett Wilson was fun. Devontae Adams was fun. Overall, though, this team isn't going anywhere. Like, let's just be real. But let's talk about the defense. Let's discuss what happened when we saw with the defense. Houston tonight, I thought they had an easy game plan tonight. Run the freaking ball with Joe Mixon. You hear down how many wide receivers tonight, And this Jets defense is horrendous against the run. And yes, they got Joe Mixon going, but I still think they tried to force CJ Stroud to throw way too many times. He got sacked 8 times tonight. Credit to the Jets defense. That Texans O-line is not good, but I thought the Texans kind of gave that away offensively, and they were not smart with their game plan tonight.
They were not. Yeah, they didn't know what they wanted to do with Diggs out now. And Collins not playing. Like, they didn't realize really what this game took from them offensively, and they wanted to establish a running game, and at times they did, but overall it wasn't enough. I mean, they did rush for 187 yards total. Right. Stroud had 59 of those, so Mixon 24 carries for 106 yards. Good game for him, but it wasn't enough. Like, you didn't have enough explosive plays. Dell did have a 50-yarder, but you didn't have enough of those explosive plays that kind of keeps their offense moving. And the Jets kept Stroud in check, man. They kind of had him in hell at a point. Yeah. He only completed 11 passes, man. 11 to 30. Yeah.
Without his passing, like, he didn't have his top 2 receivers. It's a tough sledding. It reminded me a lot of last year's game against the Texans, where the Jets had that win, and you were like, "Oh my God, could they make the playoffs and make a run?" It's like, no, relax, calm down. That's not going to happen. But the Texans were extremely depleted on offense, I thought. So it was a tough night for CJ Stroud. And again, if you want to give credit to the Jets defense for having a bounce back week after what they did last week, absolutely, embrace the win, embrace what they did tonight. The Jets defensive line showed up. Quinnen Williams had his best game of the year by far. He was disrupting early and often. Jamie Sherwood had 2 sacks tonight. He was awesome tonight. I thought Hassan Reddick stunk. I thought he was just having a cardio night, and then had that last half sack. That was a combo sack anyway. I thought Will McDonald had a great game again tonight. Yeah, he was getting pressures on CJ Stroud all night. I know he didn't have much in the actual stats category. He wasn't doing anything like that, but the dude was getting pressures, and he's a force on that defensive line. Like, I love watching Will McDonald and watching his pass rush reps, just because he always seems to be in on that backfield and forcing that quarterback to either make an early throw or get into a sack.
You have to understand too, though, Reddick didn't have a great game by any means. However, having him out
tonight,
but having him out there constantly rushing and constantly having his motor on, whether or not he's making plays or not, that helps Will McDonald. That helps the other defensive linemen get to the quarterback. It's not a coincidence. The fact that he played and he's a week out or 2 weeks in helps the defense. It's not a coincidence you had the most sacks you had all year because of Reddick helping that. Just the fact that he's out there, it helps everybody else. And what we really haven't discussed enough with this team is the Jermaine Johnson injury. Jermaine Johnson going down really hurt us and set us back a lot more than we realized. Having someone constantly putting pressure on opposing O-lines and trying to constantly get to the quarterback, that helps other guys out. So Reddick, I wish he was here earlier, but it is what it is, man. But listen, man, we got to go forward now. We could beat Arizona.
Arizona's good.
They're good. They're not that good.
Kyler Murray, who's going to sack him?
I mean, listen, we play well actually against quarterbacks that like to spend a little bit too long in the pocket. So those guys don't hurt us as much as like the surgeons.
Are you talking about actual mobile quarterbacks? Because the Jets are never good against those quarterbacks.
And I think we're better than you think. We played really well against Allen last year. We usually play him well. Mahomes last year, Jalen Hurts. You saw Stroud last year and this year. Give the Jets defense a little more credit with those guys. They're better suited sometimes than you think.
Listen, I want to be positive like you do right now, but I can't because this team has burned me too much, man. Like, the Texans team is good. This is a good win. There is no doubt about it. This is a good win. You can't take that away. So that gives credit. Rodgers was incredible in the second half. I can say that. He had some insane throws. Garrett Wilson was insane tonight. He was playing a madman tonight. Those catches were incredible. Enjoy that, fans. Celebrate that. React to that. Enjoy that for this next 10 days. That's something to love, Garrett Wilson, because he can be a force for you going down the stretch, and he can do those things against Arizona and the Colts coming up. But, and it's a big but, I've seen this team take too many steps back. You have one nice win against a Texans good football team. Now it's a matter of how am I going to respond and follow this up next week against the Cardinals, right?
That's everything, man. Yep. Listen, though, they can beat the Cardinals. I'm telling you, we're going to be favorites going there. We're going to be favorites going there. You want to, even though they're in first or whatever, they're 4-4 though. I think there's how many teams are 4-4 in that division. We're going to be favored in Arizona. There's 3 teams in the NFC West 4-4. The Cardinals are first based on tiebreakers, but I don't think the Cardinals. Listen, they better not take us lightly. They better not. And the Cardinals haven't really played anybody this year that you can look at and be like, wow, like.
I mean, they played the Chargers. They beat them. They
beat the Chargers by 2. They beat the Dolphins by 1.
They got destroyed by the Packers. They beat the 49ers in San Francisco. They only lost by 7 to the Lions at home.
They got blown out by the Commanders.
That's a great Lions team. And they destroyed the Rams. And they only lost to the Bills by 6.
Do you think, though, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, if this team can get their shit together, do you think we can beat Arizona next week?
I think if the Jets can run the freaking football and take less pressure off Aaron Rodgers, yes, they can win that football game.
Perfect. I like to hear that. We got a little positivity.
Rodgers is going to be throwing 40 times. It's going to be back into that same old thing, man.
But listen, man, we won tonight. We're doing a post game. The fans are saying you're being negative. Why are you being so negative?
I'm sorry, fans. Fans, please forgive me.
What's the point of post games if we have wins and we're not out of the playoffs yet, right?
Fans,
come on.
Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I love you guys and I love you, chat, for all watching. Like, this is awesome. Like, you guys are great. We appreciate you guys coming in here every night, and I want you to pick me up, pick Frankie up. We love you guys. It's just
this
for
guy
me
goes shaking my head. Shaking my head. We won.
We won. I know. Listen, we won. I've been burned, man.
You seem shocked saying that. You're like, we won? You're like, wait, what? What?
Dylan, we're not going 11-6, man. It's not happening.
Right, I don't know, bro. That second half, they were on fire, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, listen, that second half, that was fun. But, like, when have you seen a Jets football team put a full, complete game together?
Listen, though, you know what saved us tonight? Going into the half, we were only down 7.
Only down big. 7. It should have been 7-7 if Mr. Malachi Corley doesn't drop the. Think about this: the Jets could have blown this team out 28-13 tonight if Malachi Corley doesn't drop the ball before the touchdown.
Yeah, and that kid's really going to think about that. But it happened in a win, so it's not as bad as when something happens in a loss. You know, obviously, because it doesn't really affect the win-loss column for you. Malachi Corley, I feel bad for him, but that's a boneheaded play. I don't understand it. I don't get why these dudes do it. It happens every couple years. You see it. But listen, man, at the end of the day, that was a nice play, though. That was a nice little reverse. Yeah,
it was a great drawn-up play.
It's about time.
I was like, whoa, okay. Got this kid in space. Where's this been all season long? It's kind of like the Nathaniel Hackett. Oh, I didn't know Breece Hall can catch the ball like that. It's like, yeah, you drafted this kid for a reason. Like, you don't have to draw up insane routes for him.
I thought Breece. How about Breece had a good game tonight, by the way.
I told you, Breece had a great game tonight. Mm-hmm. How about this? Stop drawing up 2nd and 9 tight end screens to Tyler Conklin. How about you draw up 2nd and 9 wide receiver screens to Malachi Corley and let that kid eat and let that kid get some opportunities?
Yeah, this team's obsessed with this pistol formation. I don't understand it. It actually worked the last time they used it. I think that was the Yaboa play. But this pistol set stuff's got to go. There's no advantage there. We got lucky that they called an interference call on that 4th down. We did use the pistol. That actually kind of saved us the game there, if you remember that. So this pistol set stuff is crazy to me. Like, I went nuts on that 4th and 2 earlier in the year when we handed it off to Braylon on this pistol thing. But you know what? At the end of the day, Rodgers seemed like he finally started to understand how this Davante Garrett thing could work. And that's the most important thing out of this game. If Rodgers can be confident in his approach and be confident in getting the ball out to Davante and Garrett. You saw him miss Davante a few times earlier in the game.
Start the game. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. But the fact that now he feels like he has 2-star receivers on his team that he could just get the ball up to. I always say that in football, get the ball up to your stars. That's why I tell people, Tua, as bad as he looks, he gets the ball up to his guys. He lets them make plays. If Rodgers can get the ball up to Garrett and Devontae, we can start seeing some magic out there, which we saw tonight. I want these guys deep down the field making plays. If it gets picked off, it gets picked off. What if a flag's thrown? Rodgers now, I think, if he looks at this film, this second half, he can start being a little bit more confident in what this offense could do. I really think it was very important for them to see that tonight. Maybe it's too late. It probably is, but it's not officially too late. That's it. It's not officially too late.
It's not officially too late.
It's not.
But I will say, it's not. It's such a great feeling, like they did on the Thursday night win against the Patriots, their last win of the season. You get to go like into this weekend and then a whole long week of like, hey, we got a victory. We're gonna go into kind of like a mini bye week with a long, feeling of the Jets came off a nice win against the Texans. But again, this is where, and this is what Rodgers said after the Patriots game, Frankie. How does this team handle success? How do you handle this win? You have to take it, say there's a lot of things we have to correct on film still because nothing was perfect tonight. The defense was strong, but Sauce Gardner got burnt how many times tonight? Looked awful tonight, Sauce Gardner. Got hurt again. DJ Reed, a couple times got burnt. He had the nice sack in the beginning of the game. Did not look good. So these DBs need to start playing better because Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be an easy cover. And this Cardinals offense, they're going to be Kyler Murray's going to be scrambling all over the place and trying to get the ball downfield to you. I know we're looking so far ahead. The one thing
I worry about with the Cardinals is Trey McBride, their tight end. Last week, he lit it up. He had 126 yards. So I'm a little bit concerned there. But again, man, the one thing about this defense that I'm telling you they have to stop doing is playing man. Stop playing man. Start playing more zone. I'm telling you, zone would work wonders for them. Although tonight,
we were all screaming, "Why isn't Sauce on an island, man?"
He's not supposed to be on an island. Sauce Gardner is supposed to be a Richard Sherman kind of corner. That's who he is. That's who he was in Cincinnati. That's who he was out of the draft. He's not Revis. He's not Surtain. He's not Champ Bailey. He is a Woodson Sherman kind of guy that for some reason doesn't get turnover. So maybe he'll never be those guys, but he's a zone guy who's lengthy. You can cover a lot of ground. He's not stout enough. He gets long strides. He's not going to be able to keep up with some of these guys. I don't care if he can't guard the wide receiver ones on other teams. That's not important to me. But to Sauce's thing, mentally, he's got to get fixed. He's not trusting himself. He's constantly in some issues on social, and it's not going to help him out. He's putting too much pressure.
He's been off social for a while now, right? I think he's been off social media for a while. I think he has.
Maybe he came back. Who the hell knows, man?
I just think with Sauce, it's simplify it for him a little bit. Let's get back to your basics and fundamentals. Like you said, if we're going to play in a zone, sit you back, read the quarterback, read what the wide receiver is doing. But again, he struggled of late, but we had such a high standard with Sauce after the first 2 seasons going all pro. It's like, it's impossible for a guy to have 3 straight seasons to start his career as all pro. So he's having a little bit of a slump this year. He's still a very good corner.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not going to shit on him too bad.
And we're being a little unfair.
We're being unfair. I mean, but again, he did struggle tonight. That's the fair part. And that's what we're trying to break down and react to now.
Yes, he did struggle a bit. However, CJ Stroud only completed 11 passes. CJ Stroud only had 191 yards. We tend to look as Jet fans, because we're so used to our defense constantly shutting down receivers, that if a guy Tank Dell has 100 yards, that happens in the NFL all the time. So yes, he has to be better, but the defense was awesome tonight. Just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, no, they were. And you do wonder, and even though I think we both agree Hassan Reddick stunk tonight, he did help factor into what they were doing. But also I think Quinnen Williams and Will McDonald were incredible tonight. I think they both had their best games of the season. Maybe not Will McDonald, but I thought he was still a force tonight. But Quinnen was definitely his best night of the night. Couple QB pressures, had the sack, made CJ Stroud very uncomfortable up the middle. And then the linebackers, man, like CJ Mosley was out again tonight. Makes you wonder. Now he's dealing with a spinal and neck issue. I wonder if CJ Moses plays his last game as a Jet, because this defense just moves so much better and they just flow to the ball and they're more athletic. Like CJ's old, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's old. He's a great instinctual player, but he's not nearly as fast as Quincy or Jamian. And
yeah, the thing is, though, CJ sets them up, though. Like, CJ and Quincy were a perfect tandem,
right, but sure,
because CJ's reading things and calling out defenses and changing, front sevens formations, and Quincy can just be head down and get there. Now with Sherwood and Quincy, they're a little bit all over the place. So, like, for what CJ doesn't give you when it comes to moving, he'll give you mentally when it comes to just scheming and prepping those guys in game, which is important. It's an important part of football that I don't think people realize enough with CJ. CJ and Quincy together work very well. It's a rocket, and then it's like a statue kind of thing. But the statue's like a Y statue. That's a terrible analogy, but you know what I'm saying?
I hear you, but Sherwood's a young guy, and he's been tutored under Mosley, and he's been watching Mosley, and Mosley's been giving him all these pointers and tips and teaching him how to play linebacker position. Sherwood's filled in that spot, and he's been a force. He had 2 sacks tonight. He was a monster. He was flying all over the field.
Yeah, he's always flying, man.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, he can be a little over aggressive,
like you said, yeah.
But that's what you want out of your linebacker. I need a linebacker that's going to be like that in the middle of the field. He's going to be a bulldozer, but he's going to be flying all over the effing field. And that allows Quincy to play free. What I do need is Quincy Williams to make the tackle on the goal line against Joe Mixon and not miss tackles. But other than that, those two were phenomenal tonight at linebacker. And that's what, I mean, listen, you get up 100 yards to Joe Mixon, that's fine. He 24 rushes. You knew what their game plan was going to be for the Texans. But yeah, man, the defense was definitely the story for them to keep them in this game and give them a real chance to win.
I had 2 sacks tonight, by the way. Your best friend, your BFF, had 2 sacks tonight.
Oh, I know. Michael Clemens.
Michael Clemens, baby.
He had finally had a positive play. His second sack was impressive. 2
sacks.
His second sack was impressive. I'll give him that.
But do you see, though, having someone like Reddick out there, which opens things up for everybody else?
I think the Texans' offensive line stinks.
That's probably more right. However,
let's see Michael Clemens chase down Kyler Murray. He's one of the toughest guys to sack. Listen.
The defense kept us in this, right? And you can't blame them. I mean, not blame. You can't really blame anyone on the defense, because they shut down the Houston passing game. Now, listen, they were hampered. They obviously
were extremely hampered tonight.
But hey, man, you got the W.
You play the man in front of you. You play who's in front of you.
That's it. I think, though, the one thing this team, I think, needs to figure out is how to use Braylon Allen a little bit more. I think Braylon Allen's going to take a lot of pressure off of what Breece can do outside of just early downs and outside of being a workhorse. Braylon Allen's got to be more involved. We saw a little bit of him tonight, but I want to see more of Braylon.
Yeah. So I thought tonight, and you're going to see it on the film tomorrow, is they used him in a lot of 2 running back sets again, which is kind of nice. Been like the Jets' new fun personnel, like using the pistol. They were having Braylon line up behind Rodgers. They were also lining Breece up in the slot. They had motion one of the, they're starting to use those 2 guys more on the field at the same time, which is why I think Braylon might not be getting the ball as much as you would have liked, but they did it against the Patriots. Like, Braylon was getting the ball early and often, which was what we were calling for. At least I was calling for, like, get that guy more first and second down carries, because he can establish 4 or 5 yard runs. But I think if they can continue, like you said, get him the ball early, it frees up Breece. It frees Breece up in space, and that's what he wants.
Early
the outside zone
too.
Yeah. The outside zone runs were good for them tonight, man.
Absolutely. I think early in the game with Breece, you don't need to necessarily work him early on between the tackles. You can do something where it makes life easier on everybody. If you can get Breece out in space, you can get Braylon working within the tackles, then you can start opening things up. A big problem I have, though, with this offense, and I saw it in the first half, is after we complete a ball on first down, a positive passing play, they always come out and just run Breece between the tackles. Be a little bit more up-tempo. Start getting some drive momentum. You're constantly killing your momentum on the first pass. It's like Rodgers, they're treating him a little bit like a game manager, which maybe he is.
He is.
But I wouldn't. I would unleash the guy. Unleash Aaron. That's it. It is time. We see Garrett Wilson, right? We see Devontae Adams. Unleash the man. He's out of darkness now. We are starting to see some light. I am seeing a little bit of light now. My cave is being rebuilt as we speak. Remember my cave collapsed last week? My cave is being rebuilt. I have a little light. Unleash Aaron, please.
How about Michaels just shitting on the Jets with the darkness stuff? Like, listen now. We know we're in darkness. We're Jets fans. We've been rooting for this team our whole lives. We've been in darkness. We've been living in the darkness. I don't need Aaron Rodgers to remind me that we're in the darkness, and I don't need Jeff Ulbrich to say we're in the darkness. Like, we've been in the darkness. And hopefully
try to make Sam Darnold ghost jokes. Like, yeah, okay, we get it, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we get it. We get it, Al. You bet on the Texans plus 2.5, and it didn't work out for you tonight. You thought you were going to get some money. Final thoughts for you, Frankie, as we wrap up this Jets postgame show. The Jets did win tonight for all those fans that are joining us, 21-13, snapping a 5-game losing streak. And now they move on with a little mini bye week. They're going to go to Arizona next week. But what are your final thoughts on this Jets win tonight?
Simple, man. Winning is the cure for everything in sports. Just win, baby. Just win one game. That'll lead to more games that you win. That'll build a culture of winning. That'll give confidence. Ulbricht's first win as an interim head coach. Downing's first win here as a play caller. It gives confidence to everybody. Just win, and then you can start seeing the culture flip. This isn't everything. This is not saving our season necessarily. We got a long way to go, but you take one win and then you can start building from there. And you beat a good team. That's another thing. Like someone just commented, I feel good. I feel good right now. I feel great. I feel amazing. This is a win against a good team.
I'm happy for you, Frankie.
I mean, I don't know what's up with you, man. I'm sorry about yesterday. I mean, yeah, I dealt with the same thing.
Yeah, I guess I'm still down from that.
We got to win.
I'm still down from that.
We got to win.
Listen,
if tonight
I'm going to be...
If we lost tonight, would you have... I mean, like, I know you wouldn't rather us lose than win, but, like, feel good. We won.
For sure. And I'm going to give major props again to Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Sherwood, Quinnen, those guys, those dudes balled out. Your best players were your best players tonight. And that was refreshing to see. And that's something I'm looking forward to seeing. If those guys can continue to be who we thought they are, and if we can count on that talent to finally start playing like the talent we think they are, because that's how the Jets can win. If that's how you want to sell me, your best players got to be your best players, and they have to take over these games. And if they do like they did tonight, and Rodgers can play consistent the entire game, and Brees can be Brees, and Garrett can be Garrett, Jets can win some football games, and they can rip off some wins. But I hate that everyone keeps looking ahead to the schedule. Take it 1 week at a time. Enjoy this win, fans. Enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. Frankie's going to enjoy it. We're going to have a nice couple cocktails this weekend. We're going to enjoy this Jets win. But when it comes to next week, how are you going to respond? How are you going to improve? Get healthy. Take it to the Cardinals and go get that win. But
can you do something for me tonight?
Yeah.
Have one of your vodka drinks. What are those things called? Sunshine?
Surfsides.
Surfsides. I don't know. I don't drink that stuff. Have a Surfside, and then before you go to sleep, have a cayenne pepper water, please.
I'll do.
Do that for me. I'm going to do the same. I got some good cayenne peppers, so, I'm about to do it. So let's enjoy tonight. Let's enjoy Garrett Wilson. And until next week, we have a week where we could actually wake up and not knowing, and knowing that the Jets actually won a game.
Yo, this chat is wild.
This chat's the best. I mean, I
you
wish
guys are crazy.
They're unbelievable.
I hope the chat's going to be drinking some cayenne pepper water tonight, guys. We all should be taking that. Listen, we just won. Surfsides, not sunshine, buddy.
Yeah, he's a
bro said sunshine.
I didn't know. I've never had them before.
You never heard the Surfsides? It's
no.
It's
I went. I live in Astoria. I went down the street. They don't have them.
It's lemonade and vodka. It's great, man.
I'm more of a tequila drinker.
I love Casamigos, man. I'm a huge Casamigos fan. But yeah, Surfsides are really good, really refreshing. It's my summer drink, but it's no longer summer. But how about today? It was like 70 degrees today.
Dude, today was hot as hell, man. Oh my God.
Victory weekend, brother. Victory Friday. It sounds different.
Woo! Season's back on. Yes.
Season's back on, everyone. For Frankie,
I can look forward to another week of football at least. At least we watch next week with some incentive, right?
Yes, we're not dead. We're not dead in the water. That's the slogan of this Jet season. Congratulations, you're not dead. That's a Halloween night. That's a win. It's November now. Jets are 3-6. They beat the Texans 21-13. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdown passes. Garrett Wilson, 2 touchdown catches. We're looking forward to speaking to all of you again because we do this every single week and after every Jets game. Fans, we appreciate you. This is the Gangzone here post-game live show.
Ryan, do you know one other thing I wanted to tell you? Do you know what they call Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay? Mr. November, baby. Mr. November.
All right.
Get ready.
All right. We'll see. For Frankie Vinarini, I'm Ryan Sampson.